The Crew Motorfest specs make no sense. Look, the Crew 2 had at least a bit of order to it, but what is this order? Street 1, Street 2 drift, racing? How have we gone from drifting, the drift cars, to race cars? How's that happen? To be fair, that one's kind of indicative of the issue with drift cars recently, that we don't get any base models anymore. We don't get any just simple drift cars. They're customizable. They're the base model of a car in drift. We all now get these, well, these racing drift cars and these edition drift cars. So they put that right next to the road cars, right next to the souped up GP racing cars. What's next? Oh, you guessed right. Yeah, drag cars. What? Then from drag cars, we go to hypercars. So instead of going from road cars to road cars, we've gone from road cars to drift cars to race cars to drag cars to road cars. Alpha GP? What? And then I guess it at least makes a little bit of sense because we go from that to then off-road. I guess you could consider them off-road cars. Why a demolition before rally, though? Rally's so much more of a notably off-road spec. And if anything, demolition should then, yeah, be next to monster truck. And then, of course, we got the run to the letter powerboat and planes. What is this order? I mean, I'm used to it now, but I couldn't tell you how many times I've wanted to look for a racing car, and I've gone all the way down to here, and then gone, oh wait, hang on, it's all the way up there. What's going on, boys? My name is Sid, and welcome back to the channel. Head down there and subscribe, because we are still going and growing, and we will be the biggest crew content creator on the platform. What do we have to beat? Oh god, everyone's so much further ahead of me. We'd need at least like 100,000 extra subs to overtake Militia. If we went racing game content creators, I don't know, the next closest is, oh, you and Incoherent, and he's on 226,000. We seem to have just overtaken Dustin Eden. Who the hell do we sub-war? I don't know, subscribe anyway. The Crew Motorfest specs make no sense. And the next thing that we have to talk about, is the difference between Street Tier 2 and Street Tier 1. It's so silly. Why is the Focus RS in Street Tier 1 when it could destroy like half of the lower level Street Tier 2 cars? Why is the MX-5 2016, the most recent MX-5, why is this in Street Tier 2 when the Abarth 124 Spider is in Street Tier 1? They're essentially the exact same car. Some of these are just, like the RX-8, look, it's a great car. It's a slow car, compared to some of the stuff in here. Same with the RX-7. It's, well, what is this doing here? What is this doing here? The Civic Type R is in Street Tier 1 when, look, it might be a slow car, but it's a whole lot quicker than like a bunch of probably the classics. I know some classics are pretty fast, but there's a lot of cars in here. The Levante Trophy is up here. That thing weighs, what is that, 5,000 pounds? What? In fact, on that same note, there's also the Urus is up here, and then the where is it? I know it's here somewhere. The Cayenne. I don't even want to get to it. I don't want to get to it because it'll offend me when I see it. Why is the Cayenne up here? More that should be in Street 2. The BMW M2. The RS3. Like that's the RS3 Sportback. Absolutely a tier 2 car. This thing has slicks on it, and clear, like, from the outside, you can see the modifications done to it. Yet this thing's in Street Tier 1 still. It's got slick tires on it. I know that doesn't immediately make a car quicker. And it doesn't stop for Street 2 cars. The Bentley Continental Supersport is up here. I'm gonna say TVR down, but that's just because I don't like TVRs. Well, I like the Griffith. I don't like this style of TVR. The Sagittarius can suck it. That's not even where it ends for Street 2. What the RSQA? That thing has 300 horsepower and it's maxed out. I beg your pardon? Oh, okay. Well, that takes us to number 2 of specs don't make sense. How are we in His Majesty's year of 2024 and Street Tier 1 and Street Tier 2 parts are still not split? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just such a nuisance that these parts all are in the same, like, it's so weird that we've got green, blue, purple, gold, green, blue, purple, gold. It's a nuisance. The amount of times I've gone to a car and I've gone to max it out, been like, oh yeah, just like every other spec that I've gone to max out. Oh no, I've put level 600 parts on it. And you know when I'll realize? After I'm way slower than I think I should be. The thing is, if they're not gonna separate the inventories, because I kind of get it, you know, they're connected in a way. There's races that you can do in this game that are in both specs, right? If you're not gonna separate them, then at least double the inventory space. How do we have two specs that take the same parts, that take up the same parts room, and the same amount of spec room for parts? It makes no sense, and I'm scrapping these, because holy hell. The thing is, I would understand it a little bit more if it played more directly into the gameplay, because at the moment, they're just kind of separated for the sake of separating, and there's not really any consistency that comes from it. Let me explain. If I could put level 600 parts on my Street 2 car and then go into a Street 1 race, like if that was possible, if I could go here and put level 600s on a car and that would actually let me compete in level Street Tier 1 races, then that would make sense. Then there's a use for the 2-part levels. But there isn't. And God, does it make it such a nuisance to take parts off, man? Because you're like, oh, wait, no, those are 600s. Okay, let me score. Okay, oh, no. All right, yep, no, there we go. Why don't they just have deselect, like in Vanities? Oh, well, that's besides the point. But this goes swiftly on with the no consistency thing to my next. Specs in the Crew Motorfest make no sense. And that continues onto the Racing Spec. Because, look, they made the choice to do that Street Tier 1, Street Tier 2 split, right? So then tell me why, in racing, we can drive the Lamborghini Essenza and in the exact same race be up against a Ford Focus RS. No. Explain it to me. How can we be in a Cadillac Escalade racing version and then compete against a Aston Martin Vulcan? What world are we living in? And the thing is, I wouldn't be saying this if Street Tier 1 and 2 hadn't been split. This spec, I don't even mean this as like a gotcha. None of this video is like a, boo, Ivory Tower, you did a terrible... No, it's like a, what are these things and why are they so weird? Because you're telling me this spec didn't get a Street Tier 1, Tier 2 split if Street got a Tier 1, Tier 2 split? You're telling me that a CCGT is up against an MX-5, is up against a Ferrari 488 GT3, is up against a 1930s race car. Now, this could go for other specs, the other one being Drift, because in Drift, we're using stuff like Ford Focuses, and then going up against stuff like Lamborghini Aventadors. And the thing about Drift is just, it's not directly a competing within itself spec. It's not a competitive spec, even though yes, you definitely have, even in the Grand Race, direct situations where you're competing against it. There's just not enough cars in Drift to do that, but there absolutely is in racing. And I genuinely think it would be a fresh change for racing. I think racing would actually improve with this Tier 1, Tier 2 split. But that would only go if they actually did something to fix the parts management. Because, ew. Still. But speaking of specs that need a bit of a change, the Crew Motorfest specs make no sense. Cause tell me how the quad bike is for some reason in Rally Raid. I mean, even in this situation, when you go into custom events and it puts you up against Rally Raid bikes, even in this situation, it still makes no sense. The quad bike as a whole, it was a great addition. I mean, why did we only get one? For one, Yamaha make quad bikes, and they're in this game. There's a bunch of other quad bike companies, and so many other. I mean, it's fascinating that we only got one quad bike. But what's more fascinating is why the hell is my quad bike up against a Hummer, up against a Ford Bronco, up against a Tacoma, a Land Rover, up against like monster trucks to its equivalent size, up against the Gladiator, real life racing, off-road racing cars that are actually built like trophy trucks from the Crew 1, EV off-road vehicles, and like cars purpose built for the Rally Raid spec, the real world Rally Raid, which is a point A to point B multi-day race. Stuff like the Touareg. Why the hell is the quad bike in that spec? It's so strange. In my opinion, and this definitely could happen, because there's only one single event that uses the quad bike, and you're up against only quad bikes in that event. The quad bike making absolutely zero sense in Rally Raid is absolutely fixable, because you just gotta put it in a spec with motocross and call it MX vs ATV. No, that would be copyrighted. But Jesus, why? How did they ruin motocrosses from the Crew 2 that bad? Motocross bikes in the Crew 2 was so good. How are they ruined this badly? What are these physics? But a dirt bikes spec with motocross bikes and quad bikes is absolutely the solution. It would just feel so much more natural. The quad bike is so awkward in Rally Raid. It doesn't fit the Rally Raid vibe at all. Especially because the bikes in Rally Raid, sure, some of them are just off-road bikes, but there's bikes built for actual Rally Raid. Like the screen on this KTM, it's got like the proper screen for, well, rally raiding, for like multi-day trekking A to B races. Yet this is up against a silly little quad bike. I say this all of this video really as just genuine criticism. I may have been a bit loud in this video and a bit more exaggerative with my oh my god wow, but realistically no, I really do mean to put these all forward as well feedback, because a lot of these should be changed. I hope a lot of them are, especially the Street Tier 1 and 2 parts management fix. Where is that? And why is it not coming for so long? I know some of the more drastic ones, like putting the quad bike in the motocross spec instead, might be a bit drastic, but I do think it needs to happen. Just, I don't know, quad cross. Dirt bikes, a quad bike, a motocross bike, and they both are dirt-built dirt bikes. Done. Bada bing, bada boom. And I don't think they're gonna I don't think they're ever gonna actually implement a tier 1, tier 2 into racing, even though it makes the most sense. Well, good morning. Glad I'm doing this one in editing, because this one actually kind of infuriates me. I still do mean it with the constructive criticism that the rest of this video is, but this one, it annoys me more than it should. But I'm gonna keep it constructive. I love the new sort by feature, when you can put it in categories, mileage, brand, year, or no sorting, and you go back to original, just all horizontal. Obviously, it's rubbish compared to vehicle category, or even brand. Makes it easier to search for things. Year is something completely different, but these issues go through all of it. The horizontal sort. I don't mind the sort vertically, but when they added this change, they ruined the horizontal sort, even for no sorting. So what no sorting used to be, is it used to sort by, well, brand, and then model name in alphabetic order, and now it's model name only. Look at this order. It makes no sense until you realize, oh, it's because that starts with a 3, then a 5, then a 9, then ABC, as in Camaro, Caprice, Challenger, Chevrolet, but it's just any brand in any order. Going by brand, it's ordered by brand name for some reason. I don't understand that. And that's done for no sorting. And it used to be brand before, but it's even worse in vehicle sorting. Because in vehicle sorting, it used to be, now obviously this is all once you have your parts on it. It's when you have your parts on it that it filters like this. The parts filter to the left, and then again, it used to be alphabetical brand, and then model name. Now, it's to the left, and mileage, a number that changes. The amount of times that I've gotten into a car, I've driven that car around a bunch, and then once I go back into the pause menu, the car is in a completely different place, and I have no idea where I am anymore. I get what they were going for, and I would like that if it was in the mileage sort only. It only makes sense in the mileage sort, where from the left to the right, it's mileage only. But why on earth is it mileage sorting the cars that are at the same level when it's in car category, when it's in spec sort? It's just really irritating. It's just really irritating, and I don't know if anyone else has had to deal with this, and if anyone else finds it really inconvenient just not having a consistent know of where your car might be because you might have driven it too much recently, meaning that it's now somewhere completely different. Just the option of a sub-sort, and let me select brand alphabetical, model alphabetical, mileage, right? Or just only keep it mileage sorting in mileage, keep it alphabetical by brand in alphabetical. I don't even want to begin to figure out what the hell the sort is for brand, or what the sort is for year, because it's just as what is even going on. I needed to get that one off my chest. Thank you for attending my therapy session. No, you know what? A quick bonus one. Motorfest specs make no sense. This car, being in Rallycross, has irked me ever since it released. Look at its spoiler. You're telling me that is a Rallycross car? The spoiler's literally going underneath the ground. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? The thing is, they must have realized their mistake, because later on they added a hatchback with a wide body, highly customized, with a massive spoiler and a spoiler on the front, and they actually put it in racing, the spec it should be in. And it works in racing. It makes sense in racing. Why the hell is this thing in Rallycross and not racing? This is the most racing car I've ever seen. It's a hill climb car. I get that in the Crew 2, they made that mistake originally. Nothing's different. They just made the mistake earlier in the Crew 2 because it was part of the whatever update, and for some reason in Rallycross, this is it's a racing car. What are we doing here? And finally, something I'd like to see from specs in the Crew Motorfest. A lot of the cars in Drift, Drag, Rallycross, and Rally Raid are just base model cars brought into those specs because of the Crew 2. Originally, the Crew 2 was just that. Mostly, it was just cars being customized to be a certain spec. But they stopped doing this. The only brand that I can think of that they have done this with is Mitsubishi. That's the only company that I know they've done this with. And what I would love to see from them is an update. An updated, refreshed spec port. Like a mass spec port. Because we've got base cars like the Viper, like the Dodge Challenger, like the Z4, like the 370, like the Mustang, like the Camaro, like the Focus. We've got base model cars, but all of these are 2010 cars. Because, well, The Crew was a 2014 game. So we've only got 2010 cars ported in to Drift, to Drag, to Rallycross, and to Rally Raid. So I'd love to see a BMW M4 in Drift, Drag, Rally Raid, Rallycross. Just whichever of those four is possible. The Corvette C8 instead of just the C7 in Drift, Drag, Rallycross, Rally Raid. Maybe even Monster Truck, because Monster Truck is the exact same deal here. And heck, even racing. A bunch of racing cars are just racing ported cars. The thing is, they always make the edition versions a big deal now, like this thing, and the only way we've gotten a brand new drift car is through it being an edition car. And that sucks, because I just want base drift cars. Like the M4, like the C8, and let me continue. The Supra in Drift, Drag, Rallycross, Rally Raid. I don't think we're getting in Rally Raid. We're not getting in Rallycross. In Drift and Drag, and maybe Monster Truck. but a base one, not a customized one. The S2000 in the easier specs. The Audi RS6 Avant. The Charger Demon, the newer one. Again, I just want these newer ones ported. The newest GTR. I mean, come on. It is yearning to be in drift and drag, at least. The Charger Red Eye Hellcat. We have the old Chargers in monster truck, rallycross, rally raid, drift, drag, I think so. So the Charger Red Eye in those specs would be crazy cool. The Quadrifoglio, either of them, or either of the Giulias in those different specs, because we used to get the older Baths ported into those specs. Oh man, it'd be so nice. The Nissan Z as an updated for the Nissan 370Z and the Nissan 350Z, not the 350, the 370 and 370 Nismo, which is in all those specs, all the way to monster truck and racing. The Nissan Z in all those specs, the Mustang Dark Horse, and the M40i BMW Z4. Those are all modern versions of cars that are already just made and ported into those specs as base model variations to use in those specs. They don't have to be a big deal. They don't have to be a big deal. I just want them ported. Obviously, I guess the issue is that each car is now treated so much as its own car. They're not treated as just a variation of a car anymore. But it would be great to see just whichever ones of those that they can, just port them. It would be essentially like 30 new cars without 30 new cars. And I'd love it. I'd be all over it. Just getting more base editions into racing. I've said the spec name so many times, it's doing my own head in. Speaking of doing people's heads in, though, that's going to be about it for this video. Thank you to popular members, especially thanks to famous members, and an insane thank you to star members. We don't have any, become a star member, and an insane top of the top thank you to icon members, HK. Massive shout out to HK, massive shout out to Smiley for a bunch of those popular members, and I will see you boys in the next one in a bit.